more perspective on the passing of the great Muhammad Ali. And Marv, I know you had a chance to cover Muhammad Ali a little bit as a reporter back a ways. What are your recollections of those fights and the man and the outsized personality?
Well, yeah, through my earlier boxing days with NBC, there were many, post-fight interviews. I was fortunate enough in my younger days to be at Madison Square Garden in March of 1971 with probably the most famous fight of all, that first meeting with Joe Frazier. And you look around, there's Frank Sinatra taking photos at ringside, and John Lennon is there at ringside. It was just an incredible scene. But in short, Ali, one of the most significant individuals in the history of sports and civil rights, and was provocative, was outlandish, and was very funny at press conferences and during a training camp, which he also relished having fans around. But with all the braggadocio earlier in his career, what I remember most is he was really extremely nice with people, be it reporters or people who would, come to training camp. I also had the opportunity to do a special with him at his home in, I think it was called Berrien Springs in Michigan, and he was into magic tricks, and I think it was even in recent years, and he'd get such a kick out of it. There were very simplified tricks, although he would claim he could levitate, although he would tell us he was levitating. I never saw it. But we said, nice going, But he was just a terrific guy, aside from the boxing and all the political aspects, because there are a lot of complications when you go earlier into his career. He was really just a wonderful guy to be around.
Marv, you've covered everybody over the years, and I'm thinking of all the sports icons over the course of your career, Michael Jordan, so many others. Do you recall ever being around an athlete more revered by people worldwide and people within sports, including other elite athletes?
Matt, I actually don't, because it's we're not only talking sports. I mean, we're talking civil rights, and he transformed the role and the image of the African-American athlete, I think, in the United States. He embraced racial pride, and as all you guys know, either from reading about it or seeing part of it, and all that has been written, and all the documentaries that have been presented on his life. I mean, he was not particularly popular at the start, particularly when he refused to be inducted into the Army, and that was overturned. That was an amazing stance when you look back now that he took, because he lost 3 years of his career, and then it was overturned by the courts, and he came back, and he actually made two astounding comebacks. One was from that, after a 3-year layoff, and then also winning the title 3 different times, and in dramatic fashion, be it in Zaire or the Thriller in Manila. So, in answer to the question, no, there's nobody else. He was the greatest in many ways, and I think the world, or particularly in the United States, he was very popular internationally, but in the United States, I think people came around to understanding what he was about and understanding the greatness in other areas aside from sports.
Marv, Grant Hill here. We talk about how universally loved he was, but you mentioned his conscientious objection of the Vietnam War and just how divisive and polarizing that was. We can marvel at his courage now, but can you elaborate a little bit more just how difficult a time that was and how he was such a polarizing figure during that experience?
Grant, it wasn't well accepted at the time. I mean, now history has been rewritten, and there finances. I knew that reporters who, during the course of his sitting out from his boxing career, who actually had a loan of money. You know, he would ask for, like, would you have a 20? You know, that it was unbelievable. And then, of course, came back and did make a lot of money, although from a financial point of view, it even came to the point later on where Joe Frazier, who was not a fan of Muhammad Ali because he was taunted pretty roughly prior to their fights, and he really never forgot about it. But when Muhammad was in dire straits in terms of finances, Joe Frazier loaned him money, which is incredible. When you think of all the names and all, you know, in terms of promoting the fight, all that was directed to Joe. But what he did at that time, just by sitting out, was amazing. And he went through this period where this was, as you say, use the word polarizing. This was not a popular move, certainly in the United States.
Marv, we thank you for your perspective on the great Muhammad Ali. I don't know where you are right now, somewhere posh and undisclosed, but I wanted to let you know before we let you go that it is a breezy 75 degrees here in Oakland today.
You know, I was going to ask you that question. In fact, during our telecast of many of the Golden State games in the semifinals and the Western Conference Final, that would be the question Steve Kerr would ask me, curiously, prior to every game. And the fact that he was satisfied and would offer, you know, various adjectives, and that you do too, I really appreciate.
And I appreciate the fact that you occasionally use them as well. You know how much I enjoy them. Marv, great to have you with us. Be well.